Welcome back to the Lab Trainers for another episode of Saccharum Versus. Today I have another GBA match for you, this time between the Indianapolis Keldeos being myself and Chopper, the owner of the Cincinnati Raikous. This match was definitely gonna be scary. Just looking at his draft Pokemon, I had no idea what he would bring, and I feared like everything on it. And I know he's a good battler on top of that, so I was actually pretty scared of this match in general. But as you can see, I've got Pikachu, Donphan, Lopunny, Keldeo, Flygon, and Chansey. As Chopper does have Vileplume, Hariyama, Sceptile, Rotom Heat, Skarmory, and Lantern. So let's get this party started because this battle was actually pretty long to say the least. This is a 64 turn match. And I remember trying to just play my optimal best, and he was too. We were both giving it our all because we wanted to win this match. I do decide to lead off with Pikachu. It's a new set that I decided to make up with a special attacking Pikachu. And I go for the fake out just to try and get flinching damage. But he does have the Black Sludge, which is going to try mostly negate that. As I do go for the Volt Switch right here because I want to try and preserve Pikachu for later. And I want to figure out what kind of set this Vileplume is. At this point, I have no idea about anything on this man's team, so I do decide to go into Lopunny right here, which may or may not have been the best mistake of my life, as I do actually avoid the Sleep Powder, which is great for my part. I do decide to Mega Evolve right here because Mega Lopunny is 10 times better than regular Lopunny, and it would not stand a chance, as I go for the Mega Evolution and Fake Out combination because I want to try and get literally as much damage as I possibly can, as I do get the Effect Spore, and now I am paralyzed, being slower than this Vileplume, and I wasn't sure about that actually during the match, so I did try to go for an Ice Punch right here, as he does go for the Giga Drain, and is going to do a decent chunk to me. I believe I actually go for the Ice Punch, I'm not quite sure, but he can't put me to sleep, which is great, so I go for the Ice Punch here, and I do a decent chunk, but not nearly enough to cleanly 2-hit KO him, which was actually really scary for my part. He does decide to withdraw the Vileplume, Smell Me, and go into Global the Rotom Heat to take an Ice Punch. I probably should have predicted that and went for Return, because Return still would have done a lot of damage to this Rotom, even if it is defensive. But Rotom Heat was actually a really big threat, but he can't burn me, so I'm not super scared. He does decide to go for the Volt Switch, which is going to do a ton of damage to me, and I'm just letting Lopunny take these hits again and again, which isn't good for me at all, to be completely honest, at all. He does decide to send in Paper Wings, the Skarmory, which was another big threat to it on his team. His entire team was threatening. I do decide to go for the Return, but he does end up having a Rocky Helmet, so I end up taking more damage than I actually deal to him, especially now that he goes for Roost. I should have probably went for the high jump kick here, and I do, and I land it, and that makes it super effective, dealing a ton of damage, but not nearly enough to knock it out, and Lopunny is hurt now by the Rocky Helmet, and that's really scary for me. It's actually really scary for me. I do decide to go into Pikachu right here because I realize that Pikachu would be able to knock it out very nicely. He does decide to withdraw Paper Wings, and I'm assuming he's probably going to go into his Sceptile, as he does go into the Fisher, the Lantern, and I go for the Thunderbolt, which is going to do a ton of damage regardless to this Lantern, because it is super effective, I believe, or at least hits for neutral, but I am especially offensive and have a Light Ball on it. He does decide to withdraw here and go into Global the Rotom Heat again, as I do go for the Volt Switch right here to try and maintain switch priority, because my Pikachu here is more of a hit and go sort of set, if I do say so myself. I am going straight into Flygon here from the Rotom Heat because I can potentially Stone Edge this Pokemon, and I believe I am actually Choice Scarfed in this match, just so I can actually outspeed some Pokemon on his team. I do actually instead go for the Outrage in case he did decide to switch into something that could actually take it, and the Outrage is actually able to knock out the Rotom Heat, which was one wall down. He does go into Tabitha this turn around though and hits the Hariyama. He is able to actually go for a Fake Out and fake me out, which will end my Outrage. But I do not actually get the confusion. It does activate the Flame Orb. That means that his burn is now Guts activate. He's now Guts activated, and it's really scary. I am going for another Outrage, and this knockoff is going to be able to obliterate my my Flygon's Choice Scarf, and he can just go for a Bullet Punch right here and knock me out as he does so right here. As I tried to go for another Outrage, being like, I can still outspeed it, but then completely forgot that Hariyama gets access to Bullet Punch. So there was another misplay and miscalculation on my part right there, which was really, really sad. I do decide to send in Pikachu right here, though, because I can go for a Thunderbolt or Volt Switch, just something to try and give it a hit. He does go into Peach right here, being the Sceptile, and if I had went for HP Ice, instead of just going for the Fake Out, I probably would have actually knocked out this Sceptile right here. I made this Pikachu to knock out Sceptile, but I do not actually outspeed Sceptile, let alone Mega Sceptile. Luckily, its speed actually does not increase here, but still, it does a ton of damage to me. If this was a Focus Sash set, I probably would have lived. Well, I actually would have lived, but I would not be able to do as much damage. I'm not sure if the critical hit mattered. I guarantee it didn't, because Pikachu is very frail and cannot take a hit to save its life. I do decide to send in Keldeo right here, which I had as Choice Scarf, just so I could outspeed the Sceptile in case Pikachu did not go down. He does decide to send in Tabitha, the Hariyama, right here, and thanks to my Icy Wind, I will be able to knock it out, along with the burn damage coming on right here. But the burn damage doesn't actually count, because the Icy Wind just manages to knock out Hariyama right away. He does decide to send in Fisher right here, and Fisher is actually going to be a threat to my Keldeo, because I do not want to take a Thunderbolt, so I do decide to send in Nurse, my specially defensive wall. And he does go for the Confuse Ray, which is going to be scary to have, because I am not the greatest when it comes to hacks. When it comes to confusion, I guarantee more than likely to hit myself. Nurse, however, has been pulling through, especially in the last match when she didn't actually hit herself at all, which was great. But he does go for the Thunder Wave onto my Chansey, which is going to slow me down and actually go for the Parafuse. And that's scary. That's actually really scary, so I end up hitting myself in confusion. And I really don't like that, so I'm going to try and go for a Heal Bell, try and get rid of this paralysis and get rid of this confusion at once. As he does actually end up going for the Volt Switch, probably knowing that I'm going to go for Heal Bell, because I can't go for Toxic freely because Paper Wings is still alive. So he does go into Smell Me, and as well as his Vileplume. This Vileplume is still alive, so I actually cannot go for Toxic at all, really, with Chansey. I do end up hitting myself in confusion again, and here I am yelling at Nurse to actually break through and just do something. I believe I actually went for Seismic Toss in that turn. And Giga Drain comes through from the Smell Me Vileplume, which I'm not going to smell that. That is probably a stanky flower. And he does get a good chunk of HP back, as I am able to go for the Heal Bell right here and get rid of my paralysis and probably my confusion as well. I'm not 100% sure. Nope, not my confusion, but I definitely got rid of my paralysis, which is great. But I do snap out of my confusion right here, so I probably was snapped out of confusion thanks to Heal Bell. I go for Seismic Toss, which is going to deal a good chunk of damage to the Vileplume, but I am hit with the Effect Spore and just poison. It's a regular poison, which is fine. And so he can't Sleep Powder me this turn, so his sleeping is not working out for him at all. As Nurse is just going to be hit with regular poison. I think he should definitely consider changing the ability on Vileplume from Effect Spore to something else, maybe Chlorophyll, because he could run a Sun Team potentially. As he does go for the Giga Drain, I'm able to go for a Seismic Toss, deal a decent chunk of damage again to this Vileplume, and bring it down to low yellow, as this Black Sludge is actually going to bring itself up, and my poison is going to start dealing damage to my Nurse, and I don't want Nurse to be poisoned. This is actually very scary and upsetting. As Vileplume does end up going for the Giga Drain again, and I go for the Seismic Toss again, because I do want to try and knock out this thing as quickly as possible. If I can knock this thing out, that's great, because he actually can't do a ton of damage to me. He's actually in range of another Seismic Toss, I believe, so I actually have to go for Soft Boiled this turn. If not, I actually lose my Chansey after this Vileplume is knocked out. So I do go into Nurse's Soft Boil. I do hit Soft Boil, and he does go for the Giga Drain right here, which isn't going to do a lot to me, but he's still gaining a bit of HP just because of Chansey's high HP stat already. And there was a weird little glitch on the screen right there, but the Black Sludge is going to actually heal up the Vileplume just a little bit. I go for the Seismic Toss again, which will bring him down to about the range that he was at just before, which isn't still a lot, but I can go for another Seismic Toss here if I so desire, and knock out this Smell Me Vileplume. And I think he actually knows that, and he might want to preserve the Vileplume. So right here, I'm taking a ton of damage from poison, along with the Giga Drain, and I do go for Seismic Toss this turn to get rid of this Vileplume because I'm tired of it. I am tired of it. Get it out of my sight. As Vileplume does go down here, I do have Nurse still in the right here, but it is low in HP, so I'm not going to be able to live too much more. But because Paper Wings is right here, he actually is forced to go for Roost. But I don't outspeed it anyway, so he's actually able to safely go for Roost and get all of his HP back. Soft Boiled is what I have to go for right here, just because I want to be able to survive. I could have went for Seismic Toss, but I would have risked running into a Brave Bird the following turn, and Poison would have done a bit of damage to me as well. He does go for the Roost again, so now the Skarmory is at full HP, and my Pokemon's KO is now in vain. It's actually really in vain, and I'm really upset. As my bell chimed, I go for my Heal Bell to try and get my poison off. My Lopunny's high jump kick actually just went in vain right here. I just remembered this right now. As he does go for Toxic again, which is actually really scary and upsetting, because now I'm going to be taking more and more damage per turn. As I go for the Seismic Toss right here, which does a set amount of 50 damage because I'm level 50. And I'm going to be hurt by this Rocky Helmet, and that's actually not good for me. I need to try and get rid of this Rocky Helmet, so I do have Donphan in the back if I so choose to go into it. He does decide to go into his Stealth Rocks, to use his Stealth Rocks right here, to try and pressure my switch-ins just a little bit. Now, I have no hazards up at this point of the game, which is really scary for me because I should have some sort of hazard support by now, especially by the way I've been playing before. You normally have Klefki here, but I saw Klefki as not being super useful here, which was probably a mistake. As I do go into Mascot right now, just to try and get rid of his hazards and deal out my own, because he does not have Defog as far as I know, or any sort of way to get rid of hazards. And he does decide to go for the Roost again. I'm able to probably go for a knockoff right here after I get all my HP back, which is nice. So my Sturdy is now intact again. He's actually able to go for Toxic on my Donphan, which is upsetting to say the least, because Donphan does not appreciate being poisoned at all. The knockoff is coming through right here, and I get rid of this dang old Rocky Helmet finally, which had dealt me so much trouble in the past. As I'm able to probably safely go for my Stealth Rocks at this particular moment, just so I can actually get them out of here, get my hazards up, and then go for a Rapid Spin safely. He does go in and switch from his Paper Wings into the Fisher, which is scary, so now I kind of had a choice. I did go for Rapid Spin right here and get rid of the Stealth Rocks right here. I probably could have went for Knockoff again in case he actually did decide to go into Lantern. Actually, if I had Earthquake, this Lantern would have been gone. If I predicted him to switch at that moment, he probably would have lost his Lantern at that moment. But I'm really glad I did get Rocks off the field, because I do not appreciate having them there. Because the Scald is coming through right now and is going to be able to knock out Donphan very cleanly. Actually not. It leaves me to survive with 27 HP, and I'm able to get rid of his own leftovers with my knockoff, which is very nice and very good, because I can't stand having the recovery from my opponent. At least not in this match. I need it. I need his recovery gone. As we're now more than halfway through this match, we have Scald coming by to cleanly knock out Donphan, the mascot, and it's very upsetting because now I'm really forced to kind of just play between 4 Pokemon, and it's very scary indeed. I do decide to go for the Secret Sword right here because I knew that was actually going to knock out the Lantern right here from this range of HP, as it does not, unfortunately so. So there's always that, but I am Choice Scarf, so I should still outspeed this Lantern by a lot. As I do go for another Secret Sword, but he does actually land the Scald on me first, but he can't burn me, which is fine. And I go for the Secret Sword again, just because I am a Choice Scarf variant, so I'm not going to be able to deal a ton of damage. Or, I won't be able to deal a ton of damage, but I won't be able to outspeed because of the paralysis, which is unfortunate. Now, he does have Peach out here right now, and I cannot have this because Keldeo is now my win condition. I need Keldeo to win this match. Keldeo and Nurse are my 2 Pokemon I need for this match in general. So he does go for the Giga Drain right here, which is going to recover all of his HP back, I believe, at least most of it, as he does decide to withdraw Peach again because he does not want to get it Toxic, as I believe I do go for Toxic this turn to try and get it, and he does predict me. I forgot that Paper Wings was still around for whatever reason. He does go for his own Toxic, which is very scary, but because I have Heal Bell, I'm not too worried, and that's what I actually need to do in order for Keldeo to actually deal some good damage here. He does go for the I do go for the Seismic Toss. He goes for the Seismic Toss. No, I go for the Seismic Toss and deal a good amount of damage to this Skarmory, as it is able to go for Roost. I'm trying to stall him out of Roost at this point of the match because, you know, if the more Roost he has, the longer this match is going to take, or the harder it is for me. It is going to be for me to knock it out, but I have no idea how many Roosts he actually has versus how many of my moves I actually have. because I need to actually lock my Keldeo into Icy Wind in order for me to win this match, which will not knock out Paper Wing. So he's kind of got, we're at a 2v2 right now, I believe, standoff. I go for Heal Bell right here to just chime it and get rid of my poison and get rid of the paralysis on my Keldeo, which is nice. So now my Keldeo is now fast again, which is great, and the Toxic does come through, and he stalls out my Chansey yet again. He was messaging me at this point saying that this match was taking far too long, but I said this is what happens when we both have stally Pokemon and stuff like that. So it's a kind of a anticlimactic portion of the match right now, where I'm just trying to make sure I can do as much damage as possible, because my only real damaging Pokemon is Keldeo, and I have to make sure I choose my locks correctly. He does go for a Stealth Rocks right now to pressure out my switch-ins again, but at this point it kind of doesn't matter because both my Pokemon are full HP. I do go for the Icy Wind, predicting that he might go for something else, because I wanted to slow this thing down at least, if anything, because slowing it down would actually be great for Chansey, just because I would be able to get any sort of Icy Winds, or any sort of Seismic Tosses off before he decides to roost. So I go for, I decided to do the switch right here as he Toxics my Keldeo yet again, and now Nurse is back in charge and is out again. He does probably go for the Toxic again if I remember correctly, just because he wants to, but he goes for Stealth Rocks, which must have been a misclick because he already had Rocks up and I had no spinner. So I go for the Seismic Toss here, which is going to be great. I outspeed this Paper Wings now, as he does go for the Toxic right now, which is really scary. Now, unfortunately, I'm not sure if I should have probably dealt more damage to him with Keldeo before I had actually decided to switch out into Chansey again, just because it would have been better for me, because now this Paper Wings would have actually taken more and more damage, and I probably could have gone for about 2 more Icy Winds and slowed it down a lot, and had Seismic Toss do a ton of damage. Just to knock it out with a 2-hit KO, as the Toxic is going to whittle me down slowly and slowly and slowly from both my Pokemon. He does decide to withdraw Paper Wings here and go into Mega Sceptile again, goes into Peach Mega Sceptile. And so now we're just in a really weird stalemate right now, where we don't know who's going to go for what, and we're both playing our optimal plays right now, just because we're both playing carefully. Now he does go for the Substitute right here, which was scary and could have been game right here if I had not gone for the Seismic Toss this turn and broken the sub. If Seismic Toss didn't break the sub, he probably would have been fine and probably would have just been great to go. But he set up Substitute on the wrong Pokemon, to be honest. Now he actually does switch out here because he doesn't want to have to deal with Chansey on his Sceptile, because now I can just go for Seismic Tosses freely, sort of, and deal a decent chunk of damage to Paper Wings' Skarmory. And I go into Keldeo now because I'm hoping that a Secret Sword would be able to knock it out, as he actually does go for the Roost right here, which is really sad and really scary. I realize right here that Secret Sword would do a lot more damage, especially after he Roosts, because I would be able to get a super effective damage. So it is going to be nice, stabbing super effective, but not right here because it is the turn that he switched. So I believe that Roost actually, if I was slower than the Skarmory, that would have done a lot more damage, especially if he had gone for Roost at any point of that match. I'm able to go for Secret Sword yet again to try and deal as much damage as possible, and I do land the critical hit, which is actually really sad, and now unfortunate for him, because now he actually does go down to another Secret Sword because I do outspeed him, and now Secret Sword comes through, and I'm able to kind of just switch into Chansey right here and then let it go down, because I can't do anything really to Sceptile except for Toxic Salt, just a tad. I probably could have finished it with Chansey installed that, but I didn't want to finish with a 1v1 just because of that. So I'm kind of spoiling that little bit of the battle right there, but it is a little bit of a long haul right here because we still have like 8 turns left in this match, as we're on turn 56 of 64. He does go for the Giga Drain right here, which is going to do a decent chunk for him just to get his HP back, and he could have actually went Substitute here and kept going for sub. Well, actually, no, he would have just started losing more and more HP. He needed to actually go for Substitute towards the end, but he actually doesn't. He does avoid the Toxic, which is really sad for me, because I need the Toxic damage at least a little bit. I want to guarantee myself an OHKO right here with Icy Wind. I do go for Soft Boiled, which was kind of just an insult to him. Oops, and I'm sorry for that little crack right there. That was my 3DS just popping up. As he does go for the Giga Drain again, getting more HP back, which is fine for him. And I'm able to go for another Seismic Toss right now, just to try and get as much damage off as possible, because I need it. I actually need the damage. just so that I can guarantee a KO with an OHKO with Icy Wind because I'm Scarfed. I'm not Specs, but I believe it was actually gonna be an OHKO anyway because he is 4 times weak to it. Now that I'm thinking about it, but we only have a couple of turns left as he is going for the Dragon Pulses now because I believe he's actually out of Giga Drains because I wanted to get rid of those Giga Drains in case he managed to live somehow, or I miss Icy Wind as the Dragon Pulse does come through and connect. I guess he might have also been saving his last Giga Drain in case I did miss Icy Wind. So I go for the Toxic right here just to slow him down just a little bit more. And I'm able to actually go for another Seismic Toss, but I don't believe I do. At this point in the match, it wasn't really super necessary for me to do too much. I could have gone for either move, but it didn't work out. Nurse does go down finally. So after the long wall of moves there, Chansey is now down, and we are now down each to our last Pokemon, mine being Keldeo and his being Peach, and both of us being Toxic, and both of us at decently low HP, and it came down to whether or not I missed this Icy Wind, all in all, so that regardless, it was a close match. The critical hit really mattered, for the one match, so I do actually take myself, I do take a little bit of a bittersweet sort of victory there, just because it wasn't a real guaranteed outplay. It was more of a, hey, I had luck on my side sort of thing. But good game, Chopper. It was really close, and I hope everyone enjoyed this match, even though it was kind of long. I know I enjoyed recording it. I know I enjoyed battling it, even though it was really, really long. It took us almost an hour to do this match. But again, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to leave a like because that is spectacular. It would be spectacular if you did that. Along with subscribing to the channel if you've not already done so because your support is greatly appreciated. And don't forget to check out the description where I have the links to my Twitter, my Twitch, my Facebook, my Instagram, and the Facebook for the GBA and stuff like that, which is really cool. And stuff like that, you know, because I'm out of things to say. I'm really kind of just worn out at this point of recording this match in general. But thank you guys for watching again, and I will see you guys next time at the lab. Bye!